When you've been accused of a crime, it can seem like the whole world is lined up against you.
But I'm on your side. I'm attorney David Shrager, and whether it's a DUI, drug offense, or other criminal charges, I can help.
Attorney David Shrager will stand by you when you need it most.
Our firm is results-oriented. Call us, and you'll speak directly to me.
Call 1-888-LAWMAN-0. 1-888-LAWMAN-0. 24 hours a day. Attorney David Shrager.
For more, David J. Shrager is a criminal defense lawyer, and he's standing by in Pittsburgh. He's been following this case closely. David, good to have you with us here on CTV in Canada. Your take on what we're seeing playing out today in the Philadelphia area. Who is expected to be part of this jury? Do we have any sense?
Well, Todd, you hit on a great point, which is this is happening during the Me Too movement. And defense lawyers, prosecutors, and judges ignore that at their peril. I think that during jury selection, we're going to see a lot of voir dire, and it's going to be very difficult for both sides to agree on potential jurors. It may take quite some time. As you were aware, last time they went to a totally different area, went to Pittsburgh to pick a jury. So I think that we're going to have a lot of people. I know that the issue is what kind of makeup of the jury is going to be between men and women.
The retrial as well, just to make this even more complex, comes after that deadlock back in June of 2017. Now we have a new legal team. Time has passed. How's that going to impact all of this?
We have so much going on in this trial. If I were to say the one thing that's going to make the defense counsel really take pause is the additional witnesses that are going to be testifying in this case. That's a major change. And it could be a game changer in this trial. In the previous trial, they limited the testimony of alleged previous victims. And this time, the judge is going to allow 5 other women to testify about Bill Cosby's past. And I think that's going to make a major shakeup in this case.
Is that bad news, David, for Bill Cosby?
Well, in my opinion, yes. Normally, people cannot testify about things that people did in the past they're not being tried on. But there are certain exceptions. In this case, the judge utilized a very unusual exception called the doctrine of chances. That's something you don't hear very often in court. It's sort of an esoteric thing. I'm familiar with it. And basically states that if a person has a bunch of accusers saying the same thing, it's less likely he's innocent. That is a really, really important thing that the judge, that ruling was tremendously important because it changed the case from he said, she said to he said, she said, she said, she said, she said, and she said, and she said. Now you've got 6 witnesses out of potential 50 accusers. They're testifying about Bill Cosby's past. That's going to make it so difficult for jurors to be able to rule on this particular instance by themselves. The defense counsel, I'm sure, is not happy about that and is very concerned.
There is this, narrative, David, where, the law is the law is the law, and it operates in a vacuum. But, is that really true? And what I ask, with the Weinstein thing and with the Me Too movement and everything, and here you have Bill Cosby and these allegations going back decades here. It doesn't really operate in a vacuum, does it?
Not even close. Laws are decided and rulings are decided and juries are made up of people. And people are subject to sociological and psychological forces. And we are in a tremendously interesting time sociologically right now. We haven't seen this type of, in the United States, turbulence and shakeup since perhaps the late 1960s. And people are very, very emotionally invested and involved in this movement. And I think it's going to have an impact on the judge. I'm going to think it's going to have an impact on the attorneys and an impact on the jurors. And to put your head in the sand and be an ostrich and say it happens as a vacuum, if you're a defense counsel or a prosecutor, you would really be doing a disservice to your client.
David Shrager, criminal defense lawyer, joining us live from Pittsburgh with his take on the Cosby trial, retrial that is. Good to have you with us, David. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
All right, we'll keep our eye on what's happening there in Philadelphia.
Dave, the fight was right off the deck behind me, off the dock of the Gateway Clipper, a wedding reception that erupted into a brawl. Now, one of those arrested was a PA state trooper whose brother was the groom. Today, that state police officer won a huge round in court. The bride, whose husband was jailed on their wedding night, told reporters she stands by her man.
I never doubted Mark once.
Our Channel 11 camera was also outside the courtroom today when Kiski Valley State Trooper David Williams arrived to face the judge, but his fellow troopers kept him surrounded and out of view of the public. Trooper Williams, seen here in his police photo, walked in charged with felony aggravated assault for last week's melee on the docks of the Gateway Clipper. But Williams and his brother Mark, the groom, all walked out with the best news they could have hoped for. All charges dropped, with only a criminal mischief charge added for the groom and wedding guest Brian Taylor.
I don't think anybody did anything wrong, and the charges were dismissed.
While Trooper Williams quietly slipped out a back door at the courthouse, his attorney told waiting media Trooper Williams was never involved in the brawl that erupted at Station Square after the groom reportedly got touchy-feely with a server. Williams, who was off duty, he says, was only trying to help police.
He heard his brother was involved in some trouble with the police and went down to render aid as appropriate.
Okay, all charges were dismissed against Trooper Williams, but the groom and a wedding guest were both found guilty of summary offenses and were ordered to pay nearly $1,000 in restitution to the owner of a car that was damaged in this melee. Reporting live on the North Shore tonight, I'm Renee Kaminsky, Channel 11 News.
I'm attorney David Shrager. If you or a loved one have been charged with a crime, you may be in for the fight of your life. Well, don't be scared. Be prepared. Call my law firm for a free consultation. Whether you've been wrongly accused or simply made a bad choice, we know your rights and we're here to fight for you. I'm personally available to talk or text on my cell phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And remember, don't be scared, be prepared.
Hitting his head on a cell wall and spit on an officer. That's when it says Smith was dry stunned for officer safety and to gain control of the situation. The report says Smith attempted to attack officers and kicked an officer in the chest and arm area, and that's when he was shot with a taser. Shannon says her son has mental health issues but doesn't think this should have happened.
He's had them for all his life. He's been in and out of different treatments through the years. Well, it's wrong for what they did to my son, and it was totally uncalled for.
Attorney David J. Shrager was contacted by the family about this video.
From the portion of the video that I saw, I really think there could have been handled in a more professional and humane fashion.
I contacted the Millville police chief and mayor about the video, and I was told there would be no comment on this issue. But Shannon knows how she thinks things should be handled.
Fired, lose their jobs, whatever it needs to be done.
Now, at this time, the family is talking with attorneys, but they haven't filed any civil suits or any lawsuits at this time. Now, the solicitor for Millville did call me back. He said they are aware of this video and they are investigating it, but he said they had no more comment until they can look into it further since this video just came to light. Reporting live outside of the Allegheny County Jail, Vince Sims, Channel 11 News.
And a little more on this. We've had a whole lot of debate in Allegheny County over the use of tasers. District Attorney Stephen Zappala created a task force in 2008 after the death of a man who was stunned. That group found that tasers actually save lives if used effectively. It found that police officers should only deploy a taser when necessary and only after sufficient training. The committee also called for strict supervision and accountability in departments in which tasers are used.
And shot, I have been through hell.
And now the man who pulled the trigger is getting out of jail. Channel 11's Joe Holden joins us live. And Joe, his ex-girlfriend is now living in fear.
Indeed, Peggy. Good evening to you. Now, John Rione pleaded guilty. He accepted responsibility for that shooting, but he won't see any more jail time. That's because experts found him legally insane during the very narrow window of time that he pulled the trigger. And that has outraged the victim and the district attorney.
I will suffer forever for this. Today he walks free.
Even though it was sentencing day, John Riome leaves jail tonight a free man. He admits he tried to kill his ex-girlfriend Billie Jo Varner with a shotgun. But mental health experts ruled Riome couldn't be held responsible for his actions on that day in January 2012.
One of the more tragic shootings in our county's history, and he's walking out of this jail less than 2 years after being charged.
Riome's defense attorney told me his client fell through the cracks of a broken mental health system and his life was ruined as a result.
He couldn't be more remorseful. He lost his family. Those were people he loved. He's mentally ill, and that's a disease.
It's little consolation for Billie Jo. She tried to have Riome committed 48 hours before he shot her.
You tell me what is enough. I'm not homicidal enough? Well, obviously you were wrong.
Riome is sane when he takes his medication. His parents say they're moving him to Florida, but he won't be tracked. DA Pat Doherty called out state lawmakers to do something.
If this case doesn't get somebody in Harrisburg's attention, that this Mental Health Procedures Act needs to be tightened and changed, this man should be going to a mental hospital. He should not be going and walking out of the jail doors today.
Now, I'm told Riome must take his medicine, otherwise there could be problems. But at this point, there's no way of tracking if he is doing so, and that concerns Billie Jo Varner. She tells me she's afraid she hasn't seen the last of him. We're live tonight. Joe Holden, Channel 11 News.
When you've been accused of a crime, it can seem like the whole world is lined up against you.
But I'm on your side. I'm attorney David Shrager, and whether it's a DUI, drug offense, or other criminal charges, I can help.
Attorney David Shrager will stand by you when you need it most.
Our firm is results-oriented. Call us, and you'll speak directly to me.
Call 1-888-LAWMAN-0. 1-888-LAWMAN-0. 24 hours a day. Attorney David Shrager.
Coming up in just a few minutes here on Channel 11, 11 on the Ice, Stanley Cup coverage. And now for the Shrager Defense Attorneys victory moment. Sidney Crosby hoisting the Stanley Cup for his second straight season and the third time in his career. Don't go anywhere. 11 on the Ice continues next.
Obviously. All right, we're waiting to get sound from Evgeny Malkin, and we'll have that for you momentarily. But first, time for the Shrager Defense Attorneys key defender. The key defender tonight, Jay, pretty easy, and not just because he scored a goal. Ron Hainsey was everywhere, all over the place, delivering hits, winning battles. Talk about the game you saw from Ron Hainsey tonight.
Yeah, I mean, look, a couple days break helped every player. Ron Hainsey had a jump. He's a big body with a long reach, physical, hard on the players, made it difficult for the Nashville forwards every time, getting in the way, blocking shots, but the play. Then he gets rewarded with a great play where James Neal goes to make a big hit on him, ends up clipping Mike Fisher. Instead, he stepped in between them, gets the goal, but he needs to be a physical presence. Tonight he was, but he moved the puck. Even more importantly, he got the puck to his forwards whenever and quickly he did it to let them do their thing. And again, Ron Hainsey, big night for himself, and then again, getting the goal as well. So
all
in
right.
a great way.
Evgeny Malkin.
again today, the disturbing image of a trusted educator in handcuffs.
This time it's a guidance counselor. She's accused of having a relationship with a student. And as Channel 11's Kara Sapida is live to explain, police believe they were making plans for after he graduated. Kara.
Lisa, police say this 33-year-old guidance counselor told the teen that after he graduates, they could make it official and move in together. She also told him not to tell anybody about the sex or she could lose her job. Well, she actually resigned after those allegations stemmed, and today police arrested her at her house. Channel 11 was there as former Ringgold guidance counselor Leanne Danko was arrested, accused of having a sexual relationship with a student she had been counseling, an 18-year-old football player.
It was his sweatshirt that she was wearing at a football game.
Police say Danko didn't hide their relationship, hugging him at a football game, his name on the back of the sweatshirt she wore. Investigators say the two exchanged graphic text messages. She even sent a photo in lingerie that she told him to delete. We found out today things escalated when the two began meeting at this Bell Vernon park and ride in the popular business area. That's where we're told they began having a sexual relationship.
Following the encounters, Danko exchanged text messages and discussed her desire to have sex. Danko told the student that they would have their own place, and after he graduates, they can make it official. Danko told the student he cannot tell anybody about them having sex because she could lose her job.
On your screen is a disturbing text conversation police say happened between the former counselor and the student, asking her to wear specific items. Investigators say the victim screenshot it to a friend, and that's how Danko ended up getting caught.
Of course, my client is devastated by these charges. She's always been well liked and well respected in this community. She's absolutely no criminal history, and her family is obviously very upset as well.
Danko is charged with 3 felony counts of institutional sexual assault. The superintendent told me today that as soon as they found out about these allegations, they escorted her out of the building. Reporting live tonight, I'm Kara Sapida, Channel 11 News.
The case has been postponed to allow continued negotiations between myself, the district attorney, as well as the family of the decedent. They were best friends and they want this case resolved, and we're going to try our best to put our heads together and find a good resolution for it.
Governor Wolf is expected to sign a bill into law that would crack down on first-time DUI offenders. Even after one offense, they would be required to have an ignition interlock device installed on their cars. Political editor John Delano has the story.
In 2014, this state had 10,500 alcohol-related crashes, and 345 people were killed. One way to keep those who drink from driving is to keep their car from starting when they are drunk.
The system works great. It does detect alcohol.
Enter something called an ignition interlock, which keeps the car engine from starting until the driver passes a breathalyzer each time he or she is behind the wheel. Once you have this interlock system installed, if you turn the key, nothing happens. That's because you need to blow and hum into this whole system. At this point, you can turn the car on. While ignition interlocks are required for repeat offenders when they resume driving after their licenses have been suspended, the new law requires most first-time DUI offenders to have an interlock for 1 year instead of losing their licenses. Attorney David Shrager, who's defended thousands of DUI cases, likes the change.
We know that in this modern society, to be able to work and take care of your family and take care of your children without a driver's license is almost impossible. So we want people working, we want people taking care of their families, we want people being good citizens. This gives them an opportunity to balance their need to drive with also keeping the populace safe.
Only first offenders with blood alcohol content and 0.15 would be eligible. Mothers Against Drunk Driving estimate that interlock ignitions have stopped 78,000 attempts to drive drunk in Pennsylvania. And this law will catch more says Jim Wilson, who installs interlocks.
More business for us. I like that. If it keeps a guy that has a drinking problem off the street, that's good for all of us.
John Delano, KDKA TV News.
When you've been accused of a crime, it can seem like the whole world is lined up against you.
But I'm on your side. I'm attorney David Shrager, and whether it's a DUI, drug offense, or other criminal charges, I can help.
Attorney David Shrager will stand by you when you need it most.
Our firm is results-oriented. Call us, and you'll speak directly to me.
Call 1-888-LAWMAN-0. 1-888-LAWMAN-0. 24 hours a day. Attorney David Shrager.
Yeah, Peggy, many of these cases we've seen lately start with an investigator posing as a 14-year-old girl online. This case involved a real 14-year-old girl. Her mother discovered the messages and alerted police. They met, according to police, here on the social media app MyLOL, and then began texting. The mother discovered the sexually explicit messages on her 14-year-old daughter's cell phone. She contacted East Deer Police, and they called the Attorney General's office.
The child predator section came out and met with the minor and her mother and found out what was going on. We did an account takeover and contacted the defendant through the online communications, and he came to meet for sex.
Before the meeting, an agent posing as the 14-year-old girl continued the conversation. Agent, don't want to end up on Teen Mom as 14 and pregnant. Man, LOL, don't worry. You want to see what I'm wearing. The agent then set up a meeting, and when 23-year-old Joshua Munoz showed up, police arrested him.
He's well-liked by his peers. This comes as a shock to his friends and family.
Attorney David Shrager represents Munoz, who's from Virginia, but attended Point Park University, where he studied dance. He'd never had any trouble before?
Not that I'm aware of, no. He's been nothing but an excellent student at Point Park. He's very, very close to graduation. He's had a lot of job offers as a classical dancer. He's very talented, and this is a sad scenario.
And prosecutors contend it could have been much worse if the teen's mother hadn't stepped in.
In this case, it was an actual girl that was being solicited, and thankfully her mother found out about it and contacted us.
And Joshua Munoz remains here in the Allegheny County Jail on $25,000 bond. He has a preliminary hearing scheduled for next week. That's the very latest. Reporting live downtown, Rick Earl, Channel 11 News.
His house was leveled in this explosion in Moon Township. Now the same man is walking out of court today, accused of threatening to kill his estranged wife and her family.
Clearly my client was upset that day, okay, but we've all been upset.
On testimony today, she says he choked her and left threatening voicemails for her family.
Channel 11's Renee Kaminsky was in court today, and Renee, there was an investigator listening in on everything said today.
Yeah, Peggy, we start right here. 6 weeks ago, his house exploded. I'm standing in the middle of what used to be his basement. Now you can see it up close. It's just a pile of debris as investigators still search for a cause here. The homeowner and the man who still remains a person of interest in this explosion was in court on a separate matter, and he did not leave a happy man.
He has no comment at this time.
He chose not to answer any of my questions, but Ryan Areola, who's already a person of interest in his house explosion, will have to answer to a judge because he's headed to trial, accused of strangling his wife and threatening to kill her and her family.
He'll be saying his piece in court.
Today, Areola's estranged wife and her father had plenty to say about the former enlisted Marine's behavior in the days leading up to the March 23rd gas explosion, which leveled the couple's home in Moon, killing their 2 dogs. Erica Areola said on March 12th, more than a week before the fiery explosion, the couple argued over his getting a DUI and charged with driving without a valid license. Clearly still upset, Erica Areola told the judge, "He had his hands around my neck and squeezed to the point it was hard to breathe." But it was Areola's father-in-law who really caught the judge's attention when he played an angry voicemail left on his cell phone, allegedly of Areola threatening murder. "I'm going to kill all of you. You're just lucky I haven't killed you."
He was upset, but calling someone a bad name over the phone isn't a crime.
Okay, investigators told me they have done due diligence, searched and sifted through this debris pile, and now they're awaiting a few more test results, but we can expect some answers here of what happened very soon. Reporting live in Moon Township, I'm Renee Kaminsky, Channel 11 News.
I never meant for any of it to happen. You know, I'm sorry.
This was stunning. A local teacher's aide charged with raping a student admits to the crime while talking to us. Channel 11 was there when he walked out of the Allegheny County Jail, and we were shocked when Matthew Bertovich stopped and started apologizing. Channel 11's Joe Holden is live outside the jail. And Joe, this suspect had plenty to say.
Yeah, Catherine, we don't see this too much. Matt Bertovich walked right out of the doors behind me at the jail, a free man bailed out on $80,000. At first dismissed our questions, denied the allegations that he raped and assaulted a 13-year-old middle school student, and then came the bombshell. He acknowledged that the allegations against him were in fact true. He went on to apologize to the victim and her family quite a few times, and then brushed off questions about needing help. His attorney, though, had told Channel 11 a day earlier that he was going to aggressively fight this case. It's unclear if these new statements now undermine any probable defense, since these statements are caught on camera, on tape, and on the record. At one point, Bertovich claimed to our cameras the relationship with the Stowe Rocks middle school student was an accident.
I truly didn't mean for it to happen. It was just one thing after another that caused it. And, you know, I regret that it got to the point where it did.
You use that girl?
No.
Well, police say Bertovich's relationship first began with sexting and then ramped up from there. That is something we asked the Stowe Rock School District about. Are there policies that can be put into place to better monitor social media? Back in 30 with more. Live outside the jail, Joe Holden, Channel 11 News.
Welcome back. We continue now. 11:11 works to bring you all night exclusive stories. And tonight, Channel 11's Catherine Varnum delivered uncovering a local Navy recruiter busted with drugs and a lot more.
This is Alexander Alvin, a Navy sailor who was recruiting for the U.S. Navy in the Pittsburgh district. A spokesperson for the Navy recruiting district Pittsburgh area public affairs told me Alvin was a stellar sailor and one of Pittsburgh's best recruits. But last week he was arrested. According to the criminal complaint, police found a large quantity of cocaine, drug paraphernalia indicative of trafficking, 2 revolvers and ammo inside his home and his car. I went to his home in Coriopolis.
Can we ask you about your arrest?
Alvin had no comment, but his lawyer is talking to us about the arrest.
No criminal history. He served his country honorably both overseas and in the United States. He's been in the military for 7 years.
According to the Navy recruiting spokesperson, Alvin's honors include the Navy Marine Corps Achievement Medal, National Defense Service Medal, and the Pistol Marksmanship Ribbon. His lawyer says the charges are a shock to Alvin and his family.
We're going to attack these charges vigorously, and it's my intention to do everything I can to clear his good name and keep his reputation.
And Catherine reached out to state police for more information on this. She also talked to some of the suspects' relatives who told her that they are speechless.
I'm attorney David Shrager. If you or a loved one have been charged with a crime, you may be in for the fight of your life. Well, don't be scared. Be prepared. Call my law firm for a free consultation. Whether you've been wrongly accused or simply made a bad choice, we know your rights and we're here to fight for you. I'm personally available to talk or text on my cell phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And remember, don't be scared, be prepared.
Peggy, we are live outside the county courthouse where this is turning into a rags to riches, now back to rags story. The wife of that $1 million Powerball winner accused of conspiring to run a prostitution business where her police officer husband was allegedly a driver.
She's a typical housewife trying to make extra money to make ends meet by working, booking appointments.
That's attorney David Shrager speaking on behalf of his client, Jennifer Brown, the 38-year-old wife of the police officer who bought the winning Powerball ticket at a store in Braddock last month, may be beginning to question their stroke of luck.
They're proud people. Neither of them have ever been charged with a crime prior to this.
But next week, the Rankin police officer's wife is headed to court on charges she helped run an online prostitution business from the couple's home.
It's been bittersweet. Sadly, they've indicated to me that they would rather not have the money and not have their children have to go through this and have their reputations be besmirched and have to defend themselves in court and in the media.
According to court documents obtained by Channel 11 News, Brown ran the daily operations for an online escort service called 69 Entertainment. Investigators say she used her home computer to schedule appointments for the agency and was arrested in June of last year during an internet prostitution sting operation in Moon Township. Brown's attorney says the evidence against his client is baseless. He is certain she will be found not guilty.
My goal for them is to put this behind them and move on and put that money aside for them for their children's education and be happy and live their lives like we all want to do.
Well, Officer Brown was named in those court papers. He was said to be the driver of that escort service, but so far he has not been charged. His wife will be back here in court next Wednesday for her formal arraignment. Reporting live here in downtown Pittsburgh, I'm Tamika Artist, Channel 11 News.
Good afternoon, everyone. New at noon, a first look at a mother accused of having a sexual relationship with a 15-year-old boy. Susan Sundo was the head of Sharpsburg's Recreation Center, and that's how police say she met the boy. Channel 11's Dave Bondi was at the courthouse when she faced a judge today.
Susan Sundo's preliminary hearing was delayed today, but we did learn a lot of new information. We saw her for the very first time, and we talked to her attorney about what he says about these allegations. 45-year-old Susan Sundo leaves the courtroom on this rainy day wearing sunglasses. She didn't answer any of our questions. Police say Sundo had sex with her son's friend, 15-year-old boy. Her attorney talked more about the married mother of three.
Ms. Sundo is an exemplary citizen. She's 45 years of age approximately. She's never had any contact with the law whatsoever. From all reports, she's extremely well liked. She's a very ordinary, everyday housewife.
Sundo volunteered at the Sharpsburg Recreation Center and for a youth baseball league. Police say they are looking into the possibility there could be more alleged victims. During court today, the judge told Sundo she's not allowed to have any contact with that 15-year-old. Her attorney said at this point, these are only allegations and nothing more.
She's very distraught with these circumstances. The families were all very close prior to this. Her children were very good friends, and it's upsetting.
Sundo's attorney tells us he still needs to get all of the paperwork, including copies of the text messages that the prosecutors say they have. That's why this has been delayed until March 27th. In Sharpsburg, Dave Bondi, Channel 11 News.